Hi,
So
everyone. Welcome to today's webinar inside the Splunk CAB program, turning technical advisory board feedback into product innovation. We're recording the webinar and we'll send you the recording afterwards. Any questions, type them in the chat or Q&A box. So we're going to do a quick poll, and then our guest speaker, Barbara from Splunk, I'm super excited that she's here, is going to share about their technical CAB program, and she's gonna introduce herself in a little bit. And Q&A is throughout, so feel free to put it in the chat. So really quick about Ignite, we're fully dedicated to helping B2B companies design, manage, and facilitate customer advisory boards and partner advisory boards. We've completed over 300 advisory board engagements globally. And many leading B2B companies have implemented our best practices on CABs. Okay, it's poll time. We do this poll. Let me launch the poll every time just to get an idea what is the current status of your program. Here it is. So what is the current status of your CAB? Don't have a program, trying to launch, existing program on hold, program in progress, or you're expanding your program and adding new boards. So I'll give it another like 10 seconds or so. Okay, I'm gonna pause the poll and share the results. So this is the typical, we've been seeing the same kind of trends. Almost 60% have a program in progress or are expanding, about 20%. And the others have a program on hold or trying to launch. So perfect. Thank you everyone for participating in that poll. So now I'm going to stop the share and hand it over to Barbara. So go ahead and share your deck.
awesome. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second so I can get set up properly. All right.
Perfect.
All righty. Perfect. All set up. Well, thank you everyone for joining this webinar today. My name is Barbara and I lead the Customer Advisory Board program for Splunk. We are a big data company and industry leader in data analytics, security, and observability. And we recently got acquired by Cisco. I'm part of the product strategy and operations team. So I'm sitting inside product and report to product. The team I'm on is also part of the larger product organization, and we also own customer insights and product roadmaps. I've been at Splunk for 6 years now, which is a crazy amount of time. I actually joined as an intern, and I spent 4 years as a product manager in the cloud platform team building product. And then 2 years ago, I got this amazing opportunity to kind of reimagine what the customer advisory board program should look like for Splunk. And I took that on, and the rest is history. And if you hear a slight accent, I'm from Austria, so that's where it comes from. Before we get into like our CAB, and I can show you a little bit more about what we do, we wanted to do a quick poll on for your CABs. You manage, who is the target CAB member audience? Are they technical? Are they C-suite? Are they VP, director, or others? Let us know in the chat. All right, I can already see some answers coming in.
I'll give it another 10 seconds or so.
Sounds great. See if I can open the chat here on the side as well.
Okay, I'm gonna end the poll and then share the results.
Okay, awesome. So I can see the majority of folks are really kind of on the executive level. So C-level and VP director up. I know that many of you kind of, as I just saw, work with executive level CABs. So today I wanted to offer you maybe a little bit of a different perspective on how we run a hands-on practitioner-focused CAB and why being embedded in product and approaching leading this program with a product mindset makes a lot of difference. And maybe you can take some of those learnings also into your CAB, right, into your program. And while executive CABs kind of really focus on vision and market direction and building strategic relationships, our technical CAB is really all about the people who use the product on an everyday basis. This means our discussions quickly get into the nitty gritty, into the details of features, into usability, and also innovation opportunities that we can make to kind of change the product to make it better for our customers. And being part of the product organization really allows us to close the loop faster and turn feedback into actions quickly. All right, going to the next slide. By the way, this is so weird for me that it's a webinar because our CABs are all meetings. So everyone always talks. So it's like so quiet. All right, so who are the target customers? So it's really the practitioner, technical hands-on users. So those are Splunk admin, system architects, security engineers. We've been also adding a couple of directors now to our CAB programs, and we saw some really great benefit in terms of the diversity of feedback, and they use the product on a daily basis too. So it kind of really fits the rest of the customers. We get the nominations through the field team. It's actually a rolling membership, and we don't have a tenure, and that's why that's one of the things that we do at Splunk for the technical CAB is really kind of getting a diversity going and getting new CAB members and making sure that we get feedback from a lot of sources for our product teams. We get around 20 to 30 customers per CAB session, and we have like 150 plus active customers in our pool across 20 industries. Cadence-wise, we, and when you say we, it's usually me, run 20 plus sessions annually across business units. We have one in-person session during our annual conference, and the rest is virtual. We have one virtual quarterly session per product line, so 5 in total. So for core, we have enterprise, cloud, observability, and security. And those are all in America / Europe time, since this is where the majority of our customers sit. And then we have one extra APAC session as well per quarter. We've also added 2 new tracks this year, so one for AI and one for hardware, which is super exciting. And each virtual session is 90 minutes total. We have 15 minutes, kind of like a roadmap update where one of our VPs and one of our senior directors comes on, just talks about what has been released last quarter. A lot of our enterprise customers can't upgrade that quickly, so it's kind of nice to know for them, what are new innovations that have been added to the product. And then we dive into 2 product deep dives that are products that are currently in the pipeline that are being built right now. Our program influences around 25 to 30% of tier 1 and tier 2 product launches. So that kind of means new products that are being shipped and released that have either high or medium customer outcome or revenue impact. Let me stop right here and just see, Tatiana, do we have any questions yet? I can only see the chat. I'm not sure where I can see the...
I have the Q&A box open, not yet.
Okay.
But everyone feel free to type in your questions.
Okay, great. Yeah, let me know if something is unclear. Key outcomes, we really obviously want to get actionable feedback requests and feedback that we can literally take and then add into the backlog of the product and ship from our CAB members. It really serves as a very rich base for feedback and insights that really directly shape the product roadmap. We also kind of through that want to build stronger customer relationships and obviously influence the product roadmap. We're also expanding our CAB program. So we're adding 2, we want to add 2 more tracks. So one is going to be an executive CAB. So I'm currently working on that. And the first one is going to launch at our annual conference this year. So this is going to be like one in-person meeting per sector, CXO level customers, and usually have like 20 to 25 customers per sector. And we're also kind of developing some industry CAB programs as well. So that's kind of like a little bit more in the early stages, where we kind of focus more on industry specific events and kind of like can attach like a CAB meeting, for example, with like a large conference for the financial sector, and then have like a CAB specific around financial sector. Here, the customer criteria is going to be more around like director plus decision makers.
There's some questions, Barbara, before you.
Okay. Like, where do I see the Q&A box? Oh, there you go. Okay, another box.
Do you want to
sure.
questions, or should I read them out loud?
No, I can look at now that I found it.
Just make sure you read it out loud before you answer.
Yes. So one question was, does Splunk pay for their advisory board members, customers to attend the annual conference? For our technical customer advisory board, we unfortunately can't, since it's also usually a large crowd. I think last year we had like 60 people there, so I think that would not be feasible. There was a lot of people who had interest to come. So unfortunately we don't, but never say never, as the program grows and as the program gets more important, maybe we can get budget for that in the future. For second question, how are agendas developed? Yes, and it's a lot. Yeah, 20 plus meetings is a lot. How are they being developed? I actually can deep dive into that a little bit. Just want to make sure that we have enough time for that. But yeah, how it works is that 2 to 3 months before each CAB, I call it a CAB cycle because it's like 5 different CABs, right? I collect topics from a whole different array of different sources. So it's almost like a funnel. So that's past customer feedback, customer requests. If customers literally write me an email, or we have an external Slack channel where we also run some polls sometimes, and customers can also give us feedback on what they want to hear about. We also have Splunk Ideas, which is a community-driven portal where customers can vote and submit ideas that they want to see being worked on and being developed. So we kind of look at like what are the top ideas that have been gone to the surface through votes in the last quarter. We also look at what product leadership wants to prioritize for that quarter. We also get some submissions through product as well, and we work with other teams as well. Then I basically compile all of those topics, and I have like a criteria system in terms of like, does this topic align with the product roadmap? Is this topic engaging enough for our CAB members? So there's like a couple of criteria that I look at, and then I finalize the topics with product leadership for that specific area, like 1 to a month and a half in advance. So that's kind of like the question. Let me go back to the other slide real quick. All right, another question. At your in-person event at your annual summit, is there any virtual component? Unfortunately not. It's going to be just an in-person event. The in-person events are actually super interactive. So it would be really, really hard to have a virtual component to that. So if you want to imagine it, we basically have like a breakout session. We have a round table, we have whiteboards, we have sticky notes. So we work a lot with UX research. User design research and design to kind of develop that content for those sessions. So it would be really, really hard to do that. Do you feel like 20 to 30 people in a session is manageable? I think so, yes. It's also none of the meetings that we have are webinars, they're all meetings. So people can actually unmute and give feedback live. There's always people who are currently, driving or on a train and can't actually speak up. So they give feedback in the chat. So we have a variety of different mechanisms for the customers to give feedback. We also have Slido polls. So that's kind of like more of that quantitative way of getting feedback for the product teams in that session as well. So it kind of like evens out in terms of like who wants to give feedback in different ways. Can you tell us more about how, where your CAB members are providing ideas, answers, surveys? Not sure, Sarah, if I'm fully understanding that question. Oh, community. Okay. So yeah, we actually have a couple of different ways to engage with our CAB customers. So the main, stage is really those quarterly virtual meetings that we have with them. But we also have now a CAB hub, what I call a CAB hub. It's basically an external facing landing page that's part of the community, this overall Splunk community. And there you can, the CAB members, it's by invite only, can kind of see what are the upcoming events. We also upload the recordings of the CAB sessions so they can rewatch it in case they missed it. And we also send them summaries of the CABs a couple of days after the CABs. And yeah, we also have an external Slack channel that we use that's kind of also part of the bigger community area. I hope I answered your question, Sarah. All right, I'm gonna continue a little bit with the slides because there's a ton of questions and maybe some of those questions are going to get answered as well here. Yeah, one follow-up question here. Where do you host your community-driven portal? We host it on Bevy. Do you allow more than one attendee per company at your CABs? Yes, we do. We encourage diversity. And sometimes there's also different people with different titles from a company who kind of maybe work in tandem, but one is a SOC analyst, one is a Splunk admin. So it makes sense for the SOC analyst to join the security CAB and maybe the enterprise CAB.
Yeah, go. I think go ahead, Barbara, and come back to the questions.
Yeah. Okay. But I love the engagement. Love the engagement. All right. So a little bit about, how do we elevate our CAB program? We consistently improve our CAB program. And when we reevaluated our program last summer, I came across the Ignite group and wonderful Tatiana here as a great resource for kind of like best-in-class CAB programs. And I actually then went to their CAB conference in Boston. So maybe I know someone on the call who I've met in person there. A lot of the research that they have is mostly on executive CABs, but it really also helped us to focus on what matters. So actionable insights, engagement, measurable success. So we kind of started off benchmarking us against, what you guys consider best in class. And this is, by the way, from August 2024. I haven't re-benchmarked us, but it was really, really helpful to kind of get a great sense of, where are we, where can we just do better? So I kind of encourage everyone to do something similar as well. Every single program in our team is anchored in this wonderful customer feedback program cycle. I personally find it super useful as it really helps you to kind of like get like a 12,000 foot view of your program and break it down into the different stages and sections. And it allows you to also like narrow in the focus and think about what are we doing right now in this specific section? What are we doing well? What aren't we doing well? What does excellence look in that, specific section? So I can't show you that right now because it was not part of, what we agreed upon for this session. But what we basically do is for each individual section here, we write down, okay, obtain stakeholder and leadership buy-in. Leadership always, changes as well with, people coming, people going, making sure that we kind of keep a list like a RACI type matrix on, who should be involved, who should be an advocate, make sure that we build the relationships with kind of those leaders within the company, and now also Cisco. And so we kind of like go deep into each section and then figure out also, okay, what can we do better in each of those sections? Any new program that we develop follows that same cycle. So the new executive CAB that I'm currently developing is also focusing following the same cycle. And yeah, what we also did, and you can see we love the benchmarking, is that we took all of those sections from that cycle and we added a stage for maturity. So we added like early stage, growth stage, and mature stage. And we kind of ranked ourselves in each of those categories. And then for each of those categories, we actually started developing specific initiatives to improve that subsection. So I can give you an example. For analyzing and interpreting, we used to manually write summaries. I used to manually write summaries for each of the CABs that were pretty extensive. And just took a lot of time, right? So we're now starting to leverage AI to help do that. We're also building an AI-powered dashboard that helps us summarize the trends across CABs and kind of see those trends across CABs, like the different, quarters, and eventually, even send out automatic trend reports to different people and make it easier for other people within Splunk, specifically product and field teams, to get information about the CAB sessions that usually they would just come to me for. So I don't know if anyone else has that too, but I'm kind of like the Barbara GPT for CABs. So I get a lot of questions like, which customer attended from my accounts? What did they exactly say, even though there's a summary available? What feedback do we have around data management from the past like half year? So this dashboard is going to really then allow us to kind of like get those people to self-service a little bit more. Got a question from Larry there in terms of like what bulk of data. So we ingest, so another team member would be actually better suited to answer this question, but I believe we ingest all the CAB summaries that I have produced for like all of the CABs and all future CABs, as well as any additional data that we have for the CAB session. So transcript, chat messages, anything that a customer might have said gets kind of recorded and then added to that. And through that, you can kind of start then seeing trends, which is really awesome. And as you can see, I actually re-benchmarked us for this webinar because like I can't just show you August 2024. So I actually re-benchmarked us for July 2025. And as you can see, there has been a lot of really great improvements through the different initiatives that we did in each of those sections. And I personally really love, that wheel because, running a CAB program, you sometimes just get really into the nitty gritty. You need to make sure that everyone's, agenda is set up, the slides are set up. It gets very into the, organizational stuff. And sometimes it's really nice to just like get another view and be able to kind of just really take a step back and, think about what you can do better for your program. All right, let's maybe just do a quick break for questions before we hop into the branding. Yeah, so the portal was called Bevy. It's spelled like this. Can they share thoughts, ideas with each other? Yes, so that's Sarah. That question was around the Splunk Ideas portal. So yeah, so customers can actually discuss different ideas together. They can comment on it. Our product managers also comment on it. So it's really, really interactive. And then customers can also vote on which idea they actually would like to prioritize. A lot of the feedback that we capture also in CABs gets added to ideas as well. So if they're like more long-term asks that a customer might have that we don't have, the time or the team to build right now, they get added to ideas. So they kind of collect more votes and then more, more weight through more customers to vote on it. And then they will get prioritized eventually. What have you done to get engagement in your online community? Honestly, probably not enough. So we basically just have the Slack channel running. It's naturally we have more engagement during the CABs. So we have a couple of our, very active CAB members, you know, posting and sharing ideas, or if someone can't join, they might share some feedback in there. I sometimes do some polls to kind of just make sure that, you know, we build the best program for the customers. So for example, last quarter, we didn't really get a lot of engagement for the 15-minute roadmap update. So I literally just did a poll in Slack and say, hey, do you even want that? Do you even want this 15-minute roadmap update? You know, should we cut it to 5 minutes? Should we just do it written and then add it to the pre-read document that we sent you a couple of days before? And actually customers voted on, no, they actually like the 15 minutes. So it's kind of like a great tool to just, you know, kind of have like a little bit of a sounding board. Do you feel members hold back when recording a meeting? Our members don't. Nope, they don't hold back. We haven't seen, you know, anyone holding back, to be honest. We really try to get people into our CABs who are very active, who are very vocal, and who really want to give feedback to our product teams, and that's one of the criteria that I also share with the field team. You said you're working on executive CAB. Do you plan on paying for travel and lodging, I guess, for that meeting? So this is currently in the process, so I'm not sure if I can actually talk about this here, to be honest. Sorry, Stephanie. Short answer is, yeah, there's going to be some some payments. Do you record your in-person meetings? And if not, how do you handle note-taking, providing summaries? Ooh, that's a difficult one. No, we don't record our in-person meetings. I'm pretty sure we're not allowed to do that. And we take really, really great notes. So we have one dedicated note taker per breakout session who literally just writes down everything each customer says. I did that a couple of weeks ago as well, and I actually ended up with almost a blister on my hands. So it's a lot. I hope I at some point get some budget to get a professional note taker to be part of this, but our team has been really, really great at taking the notes. All right, from Kathleen, where do the CAB dashboard live? So it lives actually on Splunk. So we kind of like, you know, use our own tools, and we're using an LLM provided by Cisco. So a large language model that is, you know, it's the benefits of being part of Cisco now. They did some really awesome stuff already with, you know, using AI for their own employees and being able to leverage that. So, you know, we use those tools that are available to us. How do you close the feedback loop? Yeah, great question, Stacy. That's probably the hardest thing to do, is closing that feedback loop. So right now it's really, really manual, and I wish I had a better answer for you, Stacy. But basically, we in the summaries that we write for CABs, we have for each section. So, for example, we discussed data management in one of the CABs. I structured it into what are the key insights from that session. So, for example, what are the, you know, common things customer mentioned, any customer sentiment that, you know, came up in the session that was kind of really obvious. And then we have a second section that is just about feedback requests. And I try to formulate them in a way that a product manager can literally take that and put it into Jira, into kind of their backlog. So it says, for example, ability to add X button to this feature. And then I write why this is important to the customer, and I include a quote from the customer. And then the idea is that the product managers would kind of take whatever came out of this CAB for the section and then put it in their own backlogs. So sometimes that happens, sometimes it doesn't. So what I do is literally I have like a manual spreadsheet for each quarter, and I hope AI will help us to automate this, and we're working really hard I have a wonderful team of, technical people on our team that is working really, really hard on figuring out, ways in general on how we can kind of like automate things more and make it easier to track feedback and also kind of like correlate that with other things throughout the organization. So I basically have that spreadsheet, and I give the product managers three options for status. So go, maybe, and no. So go means this is already committed. This is part of the product roadmap. We're going to build this feature. Maybe means we kind of need to look into that. Maybe it's like a bigger ask. So a lot of those maybes get filed into Splunk Ideas, which is that community voting portal. And no would be, no, we can't do that. Either it already exists, or there's a working workaround that customers can use, or it's just something that's not on the roadmap. For the external Slack channel, CAB channel, can all of the CAB members access that? It's actually a private channel where I manually add new CAB members into it. All right. Sarah, it's not too many questions. It's all good. But are your PMs in and talking every day with CAB members? Not every day, but our PMs are pretty active with communicating with our CAB members and following up with them. We as an organization, I feel like Splunk, we have a pretty active Slack channel. Claire, love the benchmarking. Thank you so much. Great job. How did you determine the shift in each initiative showing that you moved the needle? Oh, that's a great question, Claire. So actually, I usually have metrics for that, which again, I don't think I can show you here. But basically for, for CAB session, we also capture pipeline engaged, we capture engagement scores through like Slido, through WebEx. We have a CSAT score, we have an NPS. And then we kind of see if any of those changes with the changes that we make. Some of those are also kind of like more internal, right? So for the AI dashboard that I mentioned, it's more so like, okay, how many requests do I get per month from the field or from product on Slack or on email? And then with launching that dashboard, would that significantly drop? Stephanie, how do you recruit members? We recruit them now exclusively with our field team, so through sales. So we have like sales-facing sales enablement portals. So I made sure that we have like a really great overview of the CAB program there now. And we regularly do roadshows internally. So, making sure that we keep communicating the value of the program to our field teams. And then they actually kind of just come to us, which is really awesome. Another question, are the CABs an open invite? Any customers can join? No, it's actually an application. So we basically work with the field, and customers kind of get nominated. So someone from sales reaches out to the customers with like an invite with a very short application, and I get the application. I review them around like once a week to kind of see if we have any new applications, and then I do a sanity check to make sure it's an active customer. The role makes sense for them to join. And I also check in with usually someone, with RSM, so the regional sales manager, or the field team, the account team, to make sure that they're an active customer. All righty. Elizabeth, do you tag your JIRA entries? Oh, I would love that. So we tried doing that. I tried doing that, tagging the JIRA entries, but it wasn't really maintainable or scalable because, I don't spend my time in JIRA all day. And it's mostly on the product managers to make sure that they tag it. And sometimes they don't. So yeah, working on better ways to make sure we track all of that feedback and making it less manual. Shelly, how do you handle when you have a bad CAB member, one who doesn't show up regularly? Okay, great question. So actually, once a year, in the beginning of the year, I run what I call a recommitment campaign. So I look at everyone who attended any CABs and also who didn't attend any CABs. And we have this rule that if you don't attend 2 CABs per year, again, we run a lot of CABs, so it's also communicated to the customers when they sign up to the CAB program that we expect them to show up and participate and engage. And if they don't, then we unfortunately have to let them go from this program. So I basically run the recommitment campaign. So for the people who unfortunately didn't show up or didn't give feedback on email, we have a fabulous CAB member who actually is, works for a 3-letter agency. And, he actually physically can't join the CABs because it's not possible virtually for him to join, but he gives a lot of feedback via email. And, he engages on email or in Slack. So we love that too. Okay, I don't see any more questions.
There's one more. There's one more.
Oh, sure.
There's one more from Kat. I'll just ask.
From Kat. Is CAB work your full-time role or just part of your job role? No, it's my full-time role. Yep, that's my full-time job. All right, so something kind of on the fun part. So one thing I'm especially proud of is how we've built a real brand around our CAB program and amplifying and building strong customer advocates. And one thing you need to know about me is I'm very creative. And I also need to preface this with Splunk as a company has always had an element of funness and nerdiness within their branding. And I've never actually worked anywhere, any other tech company. I don't know any other tech company where customers genuinely love the company as much as with Splunk. So as an example, at our annual conference, for example, we have an elite group called the Splunk Trust, which is our top strongest customer advocates, folks that do amazing stuff in the community and kind of really elevate Splunk to a whole new level. For example, one of our trust members built an amazing Splunk-driven dashboard during COVID, kind of to track, infection rates. So that was absolutely fantastic. And they actually wear fezzes. So that was the picture in the last slide here. So they actually wear fezzes and capes. And when you see them at our conferences, you know that those are the strongest customer advocates. And everyone wants to talk to them, and it's such a great part of the community. So when I started this CAB program, I kind of knew that I wanted to do something along those lines as well. And we also have a history of t-shirts. So Splunk has a lot of t-shirts with fun slogans on it. They're sometimes a little bit provocative. There's sometimes a play on words. And I worked with our amazing brand and creative team to create a distinct visual identity over the years, which also includes merch. And I'm wearing the t-shirt as well today. So we came up with this fun idea of, CAB, taxi cab, and then the slogan was the cab will get you there. And once we had this idea with the taxi, I ran with it. And we made a logo, and we at the conferences we now have stickers and keychains, and we like to use the logo as well in some of those aspects. And it's really kind of a community that celebrates engagement and passion, and our CAB is really a big brand, a big part of that. And building a program that customers love and want to be a part of has been really one of the most rewarding aspects of my work here. And it's always amazing to see customers proudly wearing their shirts during the CAB meetings. So yeah, super fun. I also worked with the team to create an internal logo that we also use. So if we have any slides on roadmaps where the CAB had an impact, we add that icon as well. That's really fun. Yeah, some actionable things I want to leave you with before I look in again at the questions. Feel like, again, take this with a grain of salt in terms of like what you can take with you for your CAB program. But in our CAB program, diversity really worked. Specifically, I think because it was a technical CAB. And as I mentioned, we've added a couple of directors now. We're also adding to the diversity and adding to the diversity of opinions. But they do use Splunk on a daily basis, so it kind of fits the others. Implement structured feedback cycles. So again, feel free to use our wheel or build upon the wheel, make the wheel bigger. I really love it because it forces you to regularly review and think about what you can do better in each aspect. And it really helps for continued improvement of the program. And then thirdly, kind of like differentiating your program. So I know that not everyone can put like a fun logo or fun, shirts together, but maybe there's something you can do, to kind of differentiate your program and set your program a little bit apart. So I challenge you to be creative. Maybe there's like a slightly different font that you can use, or a slightly different color that's still aligned to your corporate identity that you can use. Maybe there's like a slightly different, logo you can use for your CAB. So yeah, I challenge you to kind of think about that as well. All right, and one more question. Elizabeth, how do you run the recommitment campaign? I actually just send them an email. So I kind of collect the data, engagement data, and look at who hasn't been active, and then I write them an email, have the account team CC'd on that, and say, hey, we've noticed that you weren't active in the last year. This is not really, what we want, and this is not how you're gonna get any feedback and anything out of this. Do you really want to still be part of this CAB program or not? And if you don't answer us by deadline X date, we're going to remove you from the program. And there's a couple of customers who actually write us back and say, hey, I had a lot of stuff going on, or, I had a family issue going on in those couple of months. I would love to stay part of this program. So we obviously say, yeah, absolutely no problem. We'll keep you in, and we'll make sure that we keep sending you all those updates. All righty. I saw another question from Shelly around solution for taking notes in person meetings where there's breakout tables, where it means that you can't actively engage in conversations. Yeah, so we actually just have dedicated note takers, and they're only like from our team internally, from like our own employees, who their only job is it to take notes. So then someone else is running logistics, someone else is, working with the speakers, but that person is really only focused on note taking. All right, one more question. Krista, during your CAB planning cycles, how do you help your internal stakeholders meet your deadlines? Yeah, also really great question. Thank you, Krista. Mostly just communicating the deadlines. So making sure that they're aware of the deadlines, communicating them over email. When I first send out, hey, your topic was selected for the next round of CABs. Please start writing your pre-read document. So this is kind of like a document, multiple page document that we send customers in advance. So it's like a 1-pager per topic, which our product managers also have to hand in. By X date, have your slides ready by X date. I make sure to always plan in buffer time. So 2 to 3 days buffer time. And so far it hasn't happened that we, didn't have anything to present. So Okay, I see a couple of other questions in the chat. Let me see. Let me just scroll through here, right? Um,
I think you've covered all the questions, unless you see something.
oh, Shelly, you mean for actually attending? Yeah. So what we do, so that's so perfect because it coincides with our bigger conference. So all the most of the like super active CAB customers are already there. So again, we don't have to pay for the travel. Um, we usually also leverage people who are already there because of they have booth duty, for example, and they're engaged in other things during the conference. Plus, they're also then dedicated note takers at the CAB event. Stephanie, are your CAB meetings one day or multiple days? Do you do fun networking and dinners as part of your meetings? So I assume you mean the in-person events. They're actually only a couple of hours, unfortunately, so far for our technical CAB, just because at our conference, there's so much great stuff going on. And we actually don't want to take away our, customers from other breakout sessions that they want to attend. So for example, ours this year is only from 3 to 5 p.m. And there's so much other stuff going on at the conference. So there's like other, happy hours going on that same day that are competing. So there's not much that we can do in terms of like fun stuff because there's already so much other stuff going on at the conference. When is the next national CAB conference for folks like us? That's a great question, Tatiana. I throw that to you. I
Oh
would
yeah.
love to have again a CAB conference. It's such a wonderful niche group of us that
Yeah,
can
we
exchange some best practices.
oh yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we met last year and I think we're looking at doing another in person next year. So look out for
Okay.
if join our newsletters and we'll keep you posted.
Okay, fabulous. Yeah, and I think that's then it from my side, and we've ended almost a little bit early, which is awesome.
Thank you so much,
So
Barbara.
thank you so much.
That was
And
really
I
awesome.
do want to do a special shout out to one of our CAB customers who joined this webinar and say thank you so much, Andrew, for joining. I hope I see you at the conference and our in-person CAB. And I think nothing speaks more volumes than CAB customers joining a webinar about CABs to
It's
kind of,
definitely
support us.
absolutely, Barbara, and very unique as we don't usually have CAB members joining these webinars. So that's really awesome. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to close it out. Any final words, Barbara?
Ah, good question. I didn't prepare any final words. I hope I get to see some of you at, the next CAB conference that is hosted by Ignite and kind of get to know more of you guys in person and yeah, share some best practices. And I hope you can take some of this stuff that I shared today to your, CAB program.
Everyone, you got a bunch of comments. Thank you very much. This was very helpful. So indeed, thank you
I
so much,
saw.
Barbara. Bye,
Thank you
everyone.
so much. Bye.